Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Paula Farah Show. I'm your host, Paula, and all month long, John, my husband, is joining the show, and we are going through hot topics in January.
Hot topics, you get me whether you want me or not.
Yeah. John, by the way, you're looking good today. I don't know if it's the cold plunge or what, but you're looking hot.
Well, thank you. We're a few days into the new year, and you and I have really been focusing on our health and wellness, and I think it's starting to starting to show some signs.
I have an unreasonable amount of energy right now, and I think it's because you've convinced me to do cold plunges. Now, we talked about this a little bit last week.
But Paula, I did not convince you. I recommended it for about a year until I started showing you doctors, scientists, like people who are way smarter, who you actually trust. That's when you're like, oh, maybe I will listen to what John is telling me and start cold plunging. But did you have a good cold plunge this morning?
It was freezing. It's hard to get through, like the first 30 seconds to the first minute, I think, are the most challenging. And if you can breathe through that, it gets a little bit easier. But I've noticed the mental clarity, and I just have so much energy right now. We're also doing dry January. And excited to tell you about a couples challenge that John and I are doing, a 30-day challenge. We'll tell you a little bit more about it after today's episode. But again, we're getting into hot topics, the hottest topics we talked about last year that are hot topics already this year. Last week, we talked about menopause and how we eat and work out at this point in our lives, midlife. And that episode with Dr. Jen was just incredible. And John, I'm so grateful that you joined me for that interview, because having a supportive partner, and I've heard from so many women reach out, they're like, I need to invite my spouse, my partner into this conversation. Ladies, it's so important that you share what's going on with your partner. And John, what would you had a nice charge to all the guys that are listening. Yeah. If you have a female in your life, why it's important for guys to know what's going on during these perimenopausal and menopausal years. What did you tell the guys?
Yeah, if you want to better understand your spouse, you have to better understand what they're going through. And if you just hear menopause, perimenopause, and you just think, oh, that's just a female thing, she'll figure it out, and don't truly understand the effects it has on your body, then you just can't be as supportive. And I think just by me being educated and learning more about it, I'm like, oh, I sure wouldn't want to be going through that. And if I was, I would want to have a partner who's very supportive.
Well, thank you for being supportive. And if perimenopause and menopause wasn't enough to push me over the edge, maybe it's having teenagers in the house. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Ooh, these are hot topics.
Yeah, seriously. One of our highest rated episodes last year was a series that we did on teenagers. And so we want to bring this particular conversation back. It was a conversation with our daughter, Caroline, who's in high school. She's a teenager. We have 2 teenagers and a tween, by the way, in our home. But this conversation was with Caroline and Sissy Goff, who's a therapist. And I wanted to bring this conversation back, not just because it was one of our highest rated episodes, but because having teenagers and figuring out how to connect with them is such a struggle. And there's the narcissistic years and the individuating, and we feel like we're losing them. I know I got pretty emotional during this interview with Sissy and Caroline, because that's, I think, one of the hardest parts for me, John, is I just want to feel needed, and I don't feel like I'm needed anymore. I mean, yeah, the moodiness and all of that craziness, but the pushing away, the individuating is hard for me.
Well, you're just transitioning into a different season in your relationship with Caroline. You're becoming less of maybe her mom, and hopefully over time becoming more of a friend. And Sissy talks about that, and that should be encouraging for you. You're not losing Caroline. You're just losing this form of the relationship that you have with Caroline. It's evolving.
Yeah, and this conversation was super helpful. What questions we need to ask, how we can connect with our teenagers, specifically teenage girls. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be picking it up right at the beginning of this conversation with Caroline and Sissy. And make sure you stick around to the end of the conversation, because John and I are going to tell you about this 30-day couples challenge that we are doing. And we'd love for you to join, but also we're going to give you our takeaways from the conversation. So without further ado, here is Caroline and Sissy Goff on how we can connect with our moody teenage daughters. Enjoy. Sissy! Paula! This is so exciting.
so excited to be with the two of you. Caroline, I'm so happy to meet you. I've heard such amazing things about you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Sissy and I are coming in hot right now.
That is for sure.
I think you're just a little more chill than the two of us. That's all. So.
I'm not chill.
I am not chill either. So, Sissy,
Mom
I want you to meet.
Not chill.
I was about to say, Caroline, I want to hear your thoughts on your mom being chill.
Mom is definitely not chill.
I'm not chill.
The opposite. Fire aim ready.
Me
That's
too.
what you always say.
Fire aim ready. She knows me well. So, Sissy, let me formally introduce you to my dearest daughter, my only daughter, Caroline. Caroline, meet Miss Sissy Goff. She is a renowned child and adolescent therapist, and she's going to fix all of our problems today.
I feel confident y'all don't have any.
So I wanted to have this conversation because it is so hard to relate to a teenager in general, and I hear this from my friends all the time, Sissy, relating to our teen daughters. And so what I want to do today, Caroline, I want you to tell us what you want us to know about what it's like to be a teenage girl in today's world, how we can best support you. Sissy, I want you to tell all the parents and grandparents and anybody that has a teenage daughter or a girl in their life, I want you to help us to understand how to raise girls. And I know you've written several books on it, but I just want you to give us some hope, maybe some guardrails. And I want people listening to not feel so alone, because raising teenagers, raising daughters in general can feel very isolating and lonely at times. So that's what I hope people get out of today.
Well, it is an honor to be with you all, and I hope they get the same thing. And Caroline, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm going to have to take my counselor hat off, because as your mom's talking, there's so many things I want to ask you. Like, what are you thinking about what she's saying? Yeah. So we'll just go wherever. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Can you tell us what's going on? So the teenage years obviously start at age 13, but the tween years start ages 8 through 12. Can you tell us what's going on right now in the life of a teenager, what it's like, and, kind of what they're dealing with? And then Caroline, our dog is...
Sorry, Addie's barking.
That is okay. I love that Addie's there. I have mine too, Caroline, who could say hi to Addie easily. What kind is Addie?
She's a mini cavapoo.
Oh,
she's like 5 pounds. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Mine's like 7 pounds. She's a Havanese. Here, I'll get her.
Oh, Addie's very sassy.
Addie and Lucy can say hi to each other.
Oh, they are so...
They're friends.
Wait, what is her name? Your dog's name again?
Mine's Lucy, and she counsels with me every day. She's been counseling girls for 15 years.
Oh, that's great. There is some truth to having an animal as therapy too.
Absolutely. Yes. We could talk about that all day in the lives of girls. I'm a huge proponent for dogs. Oh. Okay. But I got us off track because I got so excited about Addie. So, okay. And Caroline, I want you to weigh in what you think about this. I'm going to give a little bad news first and then some good news. Caroline is living in the good news, which is great. So if we were going to break down girls and development, I would consider 11 to 14, 15, 16. I think, Caroline, you're mostly out of this. And this word's going to sound harsh to you, but look, give me a minute. Okay. So I would consider those years the narcissistic years, which means not that you're just totally selfish, but in that window, you're thinking about yourself a lot. You're thinking about what other people are thinking about you. How does what you're wearing look to other people? How do they feel like you're doing and whatever it is you're doing? How are you coming across on social media? All that stuff. And really, the purpose of that is because to become your own person, you have to put a lot of thought into it. And so we jokingly call it those years, but mostly because I want parents in that window of time to feel like, okay, where my daughter is normal. This does not mean there's some inherent personality disorder that's going to crop up.
That makes me feel so much better. I thought that there was something wrong. Like why, and Caroline, this is not a knock on you, but like, why does it feel like they're so self-absorbed?
Yes.
It's normal.
Caroline, my sister is 16 years younger than I am, and it's just the two of us.
16.
And
wow.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I was super shocked when my parents got pregnant. You can imagine. I remember telling my sister that I was coming home for our grandmother's funeral when she was 13. Our grandmother lived with she and my mom. They were super close. And her first response was, oh, good, you'll get to meet Bo, my boyfriend. I mean, it was like, oh, no, this is about our grandmother. It's not about you. But that's just where she went in that moment. So it is super normal. Did it feel kind of like that to you, Caroline? Like you were thinking about yourself and what other people thought about you all the time?
Yeah, I think I would think a lot about like the way other people saw me.
Yeah.
And just, especially when I was a little bit younger, I cared a lot about like what people thought about me. I've kind of grown out of that a little bit because I've learned to be more confident in the way I am, and I don't need other people's validation to like love myself. So
that is an amazing statement. Caroline, I love hearing you say that because I think that's such a picture of the good news that we move into in your stage of development that we call the autonomous years, because you're finding your confidence, you're finding your voice, you're figuring out who you want to be in the world, what you think, what you believe, all of those things, which is so rich. And at the same time, it's a little hard for parents because you're becoming your own person.
Yeah. Mom definitely has a bit of a problem with that. Like even yesterday, she was telling me that like, she doesn't like the fact that we don't really need her as much anymore as we grow up.
And that is hard. Caroline, you said the other day, you love Landon the most right now. He's our youngest because he needs you and he's always sitting on my lap. Something, I haven't told you this, something that happened not too long ago. I was at Landon's basketball game and I saw a younger family with, there were a couple little girls when they were all dressed up in their cute little outfits, right? Because that's what little girls do. They dress up in their outfits and they go everywhere in them. And in the middle of the game, I just started crying because I feel like it wasn't that long ago that you were that little girl and now you're in high school. And I struggle because I feel like you don't need me anymore. And yes, we want our kids to spread their wings and fly. I do. I want that for you, but it's still hard because I still want to feel needed, but I've got to let you go. But it hurts because I feel like you don't need me anymore. And that's something that I'm struggling with. And I don't know if that's normal. I cry a lot about it. I do. I feel like I got 2 more years with you and I've got 4 more years with JJ. And Landon's going to be here forever because he'll probably live in our basement, like you said. So, but I feel like I'm losing you. And I know that's part of the process.
Well, and Paula, I would say that means you did your job. That means you've done your job well, that she feels confident enough to not need you as much. And it doesn't take away the pain of it, but it is certainly true.
Is it because they say you lose your kid when they go to college? I feel like I've already lost her, though. I just don't feel like she needs me. And that's hard for a parent. And I know, Caroline, you're probably super uncomfortable right now, but again, I know all these things. I know the goal is for her to like spread her wings and fly, but I don't know if I'm ready for it.
Oh, no. Well, I just would say on the other side of that, Paula, I can't tell you how often I sit with parents of college age girls who say, I didn't think I would talk to her very much at all. And she calls me all the time. Everywhere she's going, in the grocery store, trying to find the turkey. I don't know where the turkey is in her town in the grocery store, but she calls me for that. And moving into adulthood, I think mother-daughter relationships, you will be the best of friends forever. This is just a window where you have to give her a little bit more rope, trusting that she's going to come back. And that need and love aren't equal.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
But do you feel like I give you enough rope, Caroline? What can I do better? Because I want to know how to best support you too. Do I give you enough? Because I know you're like, Mom, I feel like I'm a lot and I feel like you don't need me as much and that's normal. But do I give you enough? Like, what can I do better?
I think that you do a pretty good job of giving me space and giving me like room to do these things that I need to do to be able to grow up. I feel like you give me a lot of freedom, and with that freedom, I get a lot of responsibility, obviously. And taking on that responsibility, it's helped me to, mature a lot. So you're doing a good job at that.
For now.
And can I pause you and say, I hope every parent asks their kids that question. I mean, you made me so teary, y'all, having that conversation just then, because I think
my Kleenex, by the way? I did not bring any tissues.
If we were in my office, I'd have them. But I think for parents to say, what can I do better? How can I help you see that I see that you're growing up, that I trust you? Because, you know, we could talk about, and Caroline, I'm sure you have so many friends who are anxious and dealing with anxiety. And I think part of that is not feeling capable. The more responsibility, the more freedom you give kids that are age appropriate, I think the more competent and confident they feel, which is, Caroline, I think back to where you are. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I do have a lot of people, like my friends and people my age, I know, who struggle with a lot of these, not like mental illnesses, but, you know, like anxiety, depression, things. And I think it's really just part of growing up. Like, we're dealing with we have a lot of stuff that's changing as we're getting older. And sometimes that's hard to deal with. A lot of people don't like change. So, you know.
How do you think, if you could right now speak to parents out there who don't understand what's going on with their daughters or teen daughters for that matter, and if you could kind of advocate for your own generation, like, how do you feel misunderstood as a teenager? What are you going through, and what do you want adults in your life to know about how we can best help you? But how do you feel most understood, and what can we do?
Well, I mean, for me and my situation with you, I know this isn't like how it is for a lot of teenage girls, but it's like what we have going on and what we've been struggling with is mom just wants to be with our family all the time. Like, every chance she can get, she always wants to be with us. And it would be like after a long day at school and I'd have a lot of tests and I'd really just want to like go to my room, take a shower because I was tired. And I know it's been a long time since you were a teenager, Mom. But no, I think a lot of parents don't understand that when you're my age, I mean, we get tired really quickly. We have a lot on our plates and we're learning to manage all of that. So sometimes we just need time to reset and rest. And I'm sure you've heard of what like a social battery, because we're with people all day, like every day at school. And sometimes we just want to be alone. At least I know that's how it is for me. I can't speak for everybody.
How can we best meet you there?
I think like when I ask for space, just not like fighting me on that and just giving me the space, because it's not just when I'm with family. Like if I'm with anyone for like a long period of time, you're going to get like not sick of them, but things are going to like boil up, little things. Like even if I was with my friends like all the time, or they were constantly asking to like hang out or something like that, I'd get like annoyed because I'm like, I just want to be alone sometimes. I need time to recharge.
Okay.
I had a girl one time who said to me, I need space doesn't mean let's now have a conversation about why I need space.
Yeah.
But how do we reconcile that, Sissy? Because I hear that and I want to give her space, but I also feel like I want my time too. Like, so how can I do that in a respectful way and how can parents do that in a respectful way? I saw a couple of things. I feel like all my parenting tips come from Instagram these days. And it said, you know, go to your daughter's room. We know the door is going to be shut. Bring her some of her favorite snacks. When the snacks are done, leave the room gracefully, but meet them where they're at. Is that what I'm supposed to do, is just meet her where she's at?
Caroline, I would ask you that. What do you think?
I think meeting me where I'm at, that would be a good idea. What you said with the bringing in snacks or something, or like you did yesterday. I was upstairs, I was watching a show and you came up to me and said, do you want to like go get gas? I can fill up your car. We can just go and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, but I had to bribe you to spend time with me by filling up your tank.
You didn't even fill up my tank. We didn't even get gas yesterday.
Because
we just went and got
tank left.
And then we got dinner.
We did get dinner. But I said, we'll fill up your tank later. But yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I recommend to moms and girls really of all ages is to find a show you can watch together. Mm-hmm. Something that you can do that you don't have to be talking, because I think especially when time is limited as adults, we end up using a lot of words in that time. It's like, I don't have much time with her, so I have a lot of teaching I have to get in. And so I'm going to talk and talk and talk and talk. And they need time that we're just enjoying them, that we're sitting with them, giving them space to be wherever they are. And so finding something like that you can be like, hey, Thursday night, let's go watch Gilmore Girls or whatever it is. Caroline, I'm going to probably say this more directly than you would say, and you correct me if this isn't right. But I think there's something about adolescence that feels awkward about intimacy with parents. And so when we're super direct, like, we haven't had any time together, I'd like to spend some time with you, I think they want to run for the hills. And so we need to come up with a little more, we call it backdoor, but like a little more sideways attempts to connect where it's, and often around enjoying whatever they enjoy is going to be one of the best ways to do it.
Not feel so needy, maybe, Caroline? Do I feel needy to you? It's okay if you say yes.
Just a little bit sometimes. I know we got into a little bit of a fight yesterday because it's Christmas break for us, and I've pretty much been home all weekend. Like, I haven't left the house, and when I leave the house, it's with them. And I went to my room where I was watching my show, and Mom was getting annoyed because I wasn't with her. And I just don't think you understood that I had given you so much time already, and you still wanted more.
Right.
And made me think, like, is what I'm giving you not enough?
Well, we did this, Sissy. We started watching a new series as a family, which it's so hard when you have kids that are all over the spectrum. But we settled on a show, but I got really annoyed because Caroline was like taking her little snaps and photos. And I was like, can you not put your phone away for 30 minutes and so this is something I hear from a lot of parents. Even when we're with them, we don't feel like they're with us. They're not connecting. Are we in the wrong for feeling like that? I mean, should we just give them their space, or should we demand that they be present with us and tell them, hey, you got to put your phone down when we're watching this show? Or do we just accept that this is their way of staying connected and this is all they can give us? Because that happened. We got in a little bit of a beef about it, Caroline, you and I.
Can I give a little bit of background context? This was on Sunday. That day, woke up, we all went to church together. After church, we all went to lunch together. After lunch, we all went home, and I was upstairs watching a show, and my mom and dad, we were all upstairs watching a show. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't on my phone at church. I wasn't on my phone at lunch. And we watched the volleyball national championship game. I wasn't on my phone. And I was building our Lego set because Mom, she essentially bribed me. She told me that if I finished like 4 of these Christmas Lego sets, she'd give me like $40 or something.
She's trying to make money, and they take like hundreds of hours to build.
Yes.
Yeah. And I wasn't on my phone then. I was going to have some like alone time later in the day because I had wanted to watch like one of my shows, and I was taking my shower, and Mom calls me, and she's like, hey, we're going to watch a show as a family right now. And I had already been planning to like do my own thing, but I was like, sure. I had some of my friends who were texting me, and I mean, I was going to text back because I mean, I'm not just going to leave my friends like on delivered. I'm not sure if you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was getting annoyed. It's like when you've seen the text, but you're not responding, like you're leaving.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know that. I get annoyed by that too.
Yeah. She was getting annoyed anytime I'd go on my phone. And I was just thinking to myself, I've been with you all day. Can I not just be on my phone for a little bit? Like, I'm not a screenager. Like, I'm not. So just give me my time when I ask for it.
Fair enough. So. I think I was just building up that moment. Like, I didn't care if you were on your phone watching volleyball. I didn't care if you were on your phone at those other times, but we had this carved out. We're going to watch the show as a family. And so I guess I just have to maybe pick my moments.
Yeah.
Because you're a good kid, Caroline. And I don't know if I tell you that enough. You're a really great daughter. I'm not a perfect mom. That's like, we live in our imperfections. So I'm grateful for you.
Thanks.
So what y'all just did is what I would recommend. Just talk about it and see if you can get to a compromise place, because it's both things. I mean, of course you feel that way, and she needs time and space to connect with her friends, because they are right now, as I bet they were with you, Paula, her priority. And that doesn't mean she doesn't adore you, but that's just developmentally normal and appropriate in the individuating. And so I want to recommend two things. One is, my favorite word when it comes to parenting adolescents is breezy. I mean, so instead of coming across as needy, if you can come across as breezy, where there's not that intensity, I think the connection is going to be easier and more natural. So that's one thing. The other is,
there's nothing breezy about me, Sissy. That's the problem.
Well,
nothing.
But I think you can practice it. We can all learn new skills. It's neuroplasticity. We can all do it. But the other thing that I would recommend, really to y'all, but to any family of adolescents, I love the Enneagram. It is not the end all be all, but it is a great tool to understand each other. And I mean, Caroline, as you're talking, I'm kind of guessing in my head which numbers you might be, which I would never want to do out loud.
Take a guess.
No, I'm not going to do it.
You have to. I think she's a 3-wing 4.
Really?
Yes. Am I totally off?
Have you done it, Caroline?
I've done it. Yeah. Wait, did you just say I'm a 2 or 4?
3-wing 4.
3, which is like the high achiever. And then you still like the 4 is like, I still want to be unique. The creator.
I think I took it like a year or 2 ago and I got 1 and 3.
Huh.
What would you think?
If you can't tell.
I'm a total 8 hardcore. So that, like I said,
you're such a warm, kind 8.
Thank you. I feel like I'm.
Well, you don't live with her. So.
That's interesting. Caroline, I'd be curious for you to take it again. See, where I would maybe differ with what you said, and obviously, Caroline, I just met you, but one of the ways that I love it is there are stances. I don't know if y'all have heard that part of it. There's the dependent stance, the withdrawing stance, and the aggressive stance. And Caroline, you don't feel aggressive stance to me, if I had to guess.
And you don't live with her.
Right. I had a feeling you were going to say that. 3s, 7s, and 8s are in the aggressive stance. 1s are not. But I don't know. See, that I just think we can have conversations about what each other need that are different, and not, sometimes they don't feel as pointed, because it's not like, here's what you're doing wrong or here's what I'm doing wrong. It's more, because I'm a whatever number, this is what I need, or this is what would help me. Mm-hmm. So I'd love for y'all to do it again. And then I want to hear, Caroline, if you're a 1, I want to connect with you about it, because that's what I am. And it's not very fun to be a 1. It's hard.
Mm-mm.
Caroline is a perfectionist though. But she's also a super high achiever. I tell her all the time. And her brother calls her a tryhard. Like, you don't have to get an A+ in every single class. Like, it's okay. Get a B. It's fine.
I'm not getting a B in a class. That's not gonna.
She puts a lot of pressure on herself.
You might be a 1.
Achieve. Maybe she is.
Do you get mad at yourself a lot? Like, do you have they call it an inner critic. Do you have a voice in your head that's telling you you're doing the wrong thing a lot?
Yeah.
See, I don't think 3s have that quite as much.
Okay.
I would lean towards maybe you're a 1.
You're probably you know what? You're the therapist. I trust you.
No, you live with your daughter. I've spent 5 minutes with her, but that to me is the biggest distinction of, is that voice loud in your head or not?
Yeah.
Sissy, you said something that gave me a little bit of reassurance. You said when boys do something wrong, they blame somebody else. When girls do something wrong, or when something wrong happens, they blame themselves, but they often lash out at their mothers. Can you talk about that dynamic? Because I feel like I've always been a safe place and we've had a great relationship, but it's not until like the last couple of years where, I mean, we got into the worst fight ever over Taylor Swift tickets. And I said some potty words and I was the least healthy version of myself. We live in a very grace-filled home where we're all going to screw up, but we're quick to say we're sorry and we're very quick to forgive one another. But I feel a lot of tension in our relationship that I hadn't, And so tell me a little bit about that. Like, is this normal that girls take it out on their moms?
Yes.
And moms internalize and we feel sorry for ourselves?
Yes. I read years ago that I thought was fascinating that it's a study that said when something goes wrong in a boy's world, he blames someone else. When something goes wrong in a girl's world, she blames herself.
Got it.
And I think the one caveat to that is girls do feel safest with moms. And so I think all of the,
I love you, Caroline.
I think all of the blaming ourselves, that critical voice for girls comes out at moms. And so when she's saying negative things to you about you, it's more of what she's feeling about herself. And the hardest part of that, I think, and I do a lot of parenting conferences and talk a lot about raising girls. And I always say, if there's anything I want moms to hear from me, this is what I want moms to hear the most. You as a mom are a grown-up little girl. And so when something goes wrong in your world, you blame yourself too. And the reality is, up until this point in adolescence, you have been the person she's most closely identified herself with. And so for her to become her own person, it's like a pendulum, and she's got to kick off of you the hardest. But because you blame yourself, your first thought is going to be, what have I done wrong? Why does she hate me? How did I make this happen in her relationship? And instead, I would want you to think, Sissy told me this is normal. She has to do this to become her own person, because she does. We all did it, but it is so hard. And that starts to happen when they're in the narcissistic years. So they're kind of oblivious a lot of the time that it's even what's going on internally with you. And at the same time, I think if we go back to what we were talking about before, I think if as a mom, every time she pulls away, you crumble, I think girls start to feel too much power, and too much power puts a strain on your relationship and can even make girls feel insecure. I was doing a seminar one time locally in Nashville, and a lot of times I'll take older kids with me to do a Q&A. I was speaking to 7th grade moms. I think 7th grade is the hardest stretch by far. You know, Anne Lamott says that 7th grade is like the descent into hell the Apostles' Creed talks about Jesus doing, which I love.
It's so true.
So I was speaking to these 7th grade moms, and I took some seniors in high school with me to give them some hope. And I remember one of the moms saying, tell me one of your favorite things your mom ever did when you were a teenager. And this girl said, well, my mom and I would fight a lot at that age, which again is really normal. And she said, every time we would get in a fight, I would say to my mom, why do you always have to be the parent? Why can't you just be my friend? And she said, every time I said that to my mom's response was the same. And she would say, there will be a day that you and I will be friends, but it is not today. And I could actually care less how you feel about me right now. And the girl said, every time my mom said that, I thought, I can't wait. And the mom in the audience said, did you tell your mom that? And she said, of course not. So you're not going to know that that's true, but that's that sense of security in knowing you're bigger and stronger than she is. It doesn't mean you just let her run all over you all the time. Sorry, Caroline. Yeah. Not that you would do that, but I think that sense of security that comes in knowing that you're strong enough to take it. You're the grown up.
And I shouldn't crumble. Do I crumble a lot in front of you?
Sometimes. I'd say a lot of the times I fight with you more than I fight with anybody. Like, I don't fight with Dad really ever, because Dad's just a voice of reason. Like, I can't tell you the last time I saw him get like actually angry when he wasn't coaching basketball.
Right.
But I think you and we both just like to fight. And since I'm not really a confrontational person, like with my friends, I don't start fights with my friends. I think I start fights with you because I'm taking out like my anger at other people, and I'm taking it out on you. It's not because it's not necessarily anything to do with you. It's just, I don't have anywhere else, and I don't want to bottle it up. You know?
And do you feel like she's safe for you? Like she's going to love you no matter what?
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why I do it, is because I know we can get into fights and we'll probably be fine like in an hour.
We work through it.
We do. We fight. We're quick to fight, but we also say sorry, which is something that's been hard for me because I'm learning that I'm a bit of a prideful person. So it's kind of hard for me to say sorry. sometimes when I know I'm in the wrong, because but I'm learning to do that. And that saying sorry doesn't make me like any weaker. Just,
There's the perfectionist, but that's where I like the one thing I want to give the kids is, yes, I want them to fail and learn from that and be resilient, but I want them to know that we're all imperfect. We're all going to make mistakes. And when we do, we have to be quick to say, I'm sorry. And on the other side, quick to forgive. And so, because I'm a hot mess, and I'm glad that you picked that up, that not just am I a hot mess, but we're going to work through it, right? And we're not going to hold a grudge against one another. Big thanks to Sissy and Caroline for joining me in that conversation. And by the way, I did a Q&A episode as well with Sissy and Caroline answering all of your questions. I'll put that link in the show notes, as well as the Teenage Boy series, a 2-part series that I did with Sissy's counterpart, David Thomas, just as phenomenal about how we can connect with our teenage boys, and once again, answering your questions. So we'll put all those links in the show notes. So John, before we get into our takeaways, you want to tell everybody about this couples challenge, this 30-day couples challenge that you and I are doing. We kind of came up with it on our own, but why we're doing it and what we're doing.
So going into 2025, you and I, we talked about some of our goals, some of the things that we really wanted to achieve and accomplish. And there was like this common theme of you and I just being more connected. That was the word, connected. And so we figured, well, how can we be more connected in different aspects of our life? So we put together this 30-day challenge, which we hope will turn into a 60 and 90 and maybe a whole year challenge. And so there's certain
I didn't know that. I thought it was just 30 days, dude.
Wait, don't put a limit on anything, but 30 to start, and we'll see how it goes. We might have to modify it and adjust it or improve it. But so far, it's been really good. A week plus in, I feel much more connected to you. I don't know about your thoughts. I do.
I do feel like we're so busy that we're not connecting with one another. And, you see relationships break down so often for a myriad of reasons, okay? But so often it's communication or it's trust, or you're just not making time and being intentional with one another. And, we're at a point, and I understand when you have real little kids, sometimes it's hard to do, but, our kids are a little bit older. We really want to focus on how we can connect with one another. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, we came up with this challenge all on our own. So what we're doing, we're praying every night together. Okay. Yeah. And we decided to do this at night. Usually it happens when we're in the bed, just like a couple of minutes. That's for a spiritual connection. We have a physical connection.
Yes, we do.
Physical connection. No, we are working out together once a week. Yeah. So it's kind of like our date. We took hot yoga, so we're taking a class together, or we're just going on a walk, but we're being really intentional and we're scheduling this workout physical movement together. So we have spiritual connection. We're praying every night together. We have the physical connection. And then we have like more of an emotional, mental connection every day. We're checking in with one another and we're asking one another, how can I support you today? And so I'm asking John, how can I support you today? And you're asking me, Paula, how can I support you today? And then once a week, also this mental load, mental connection, emotional connection. We're having a board meeting. We're sitting down. We're looking at the calendar. What do we have going on? Because let's be honest, sometimes it's hard to be attracted to your spouse because you're just so pissed off at them because they're not doing their load around the home. They don't know what's going on. So checking in once a week, saying, here's what we have on the calendar. We're all pitching in, asking one another each day, how can I support you? So it's just those 4 things. And we'll see.
And we've also been meal planning as well, which I know has been a really cool experience. We're only a week in, but we keep this up. We're going to eat healthier, and that's going to take a lot of that mental load.
Yep. So like when you ask me, for instance, Paula, how can I support you today? I'm usually like, hey, you can really support me with some of the logistics around the home, maybe, just helping out with dinner tonight. What do you think we should have? But that board meeting each week, like you said, we've been meal planning. We go through, and we've never done this. 25 years into marriage almost. We've never done this. We sit down once a week. Here's the calendar, but also here's the meals. Who's going to buy it? We've been prepping the food. Because that for me is such a time suck, an emotion suck, and a mental suck.
This past week we had 5 nights and we had a sporting event every night of the week. If you don't plan for that, it's just going to be pure chaos. So it's been great for us.
come up with your own couples challenge, but like think about a spiritual connection, whatever religion you might be, how you can connect spiritually, how you can connect emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that. And it doesn't have to be a fancy date night, or you don't have to like go on a vacation once a month. Like that's going to come later. This is just a 30-day challenge that we are doing. And who knows, maybe we'll feel more connected and I'll like you a ton more than I do now, John. But I think you're kind of
We can only hope.
So anyway, let's put a bow on this conversation with Sissy and Caroline about connecting with our teenage daughters, some of our takeaways.
Yeah, one of the things that it really made me think about was just the importance of letting your teen kind of go through it, whatever that may be. And we now have a little bit of perspective because we've seen Caroline where she's come home and said, hey, this happened, or I'm going through this or struggling with this. And we're like, it seems like the end of the world. It seems such a big deal. And we're like, if we don't fix this today, she's going to completely go off the path. Where now you look back, you're like, just kind of, you gotta support them. You got to be there for them. You got to love on them and let them kind of get through it themselves. And we've just seen that probably in just the last 6 months with Caroline, some transformative things that have gone into her life. And it's not because we're demanding it of her.
No.
It's just this maturity. We've helped her become more aware of certain things, and she's taking that ownership, which is extremely encouraging, because you can't want something for your teenager more than they want it for themselves. And you can't force them to do something. You can for a period of time, but they're going to reject it long term. And I want her to have that long-term commitment to being the best version of herself.
Yeah. It's about autonomy too. And look, I hope you don't think we're coming across like we know what we're doing or this is easy. This is the most challenging phase of parenting that we've ever faced. John can tell you that I'm needy, that I freak out a lot, that this is really hard specifically for me. And it was kind of comforting for me to hear Sissy say that, girls will take it out on their moms. By the way, boys will do the same. Why do moms have to get like the short end of the stick during the teenage years?
Because you guys have superpowers. And, Caroline said it. I am the voice of reason. And
here you go. Dad's
so I'm the yin to your yang. Somebody's got to be a little crazy. Somebody's always got to be locking horns with Caroline. And that's you. And I'm just there to be that voice of reason. So I like
say it one more time. Do you want to say it one more time?
Voice of reason, VOR, if you need an acronym.
VOR. But the narcissistic years are very normal. And then the individuating is normal as well. I liked Sissy said, you have to give them some rope and you got to trust that they're going to come back.
Yeah.
And that their need and love are not equal. But my big takeaways, the 4 ways that I think we can connect with our teenage daughters, no matter if they're in the narcissistic years, those earlier teenage years or the later years. The first thing you can do, just bring them some snacks in their room, connect with them when the snacks are gone, just leave. Another thing that you can do, like I find little ways to spend time with Caroline, and I'm trying to come across as breezy, even though breezy is not easy for me. I'm so
You are the opposite of breezy, whatever that
unbreezy. But like try to fill their tank, do little things for them, literally fill their tank. Like I was like, Caroline, can I spend a little bit of time with you? Let me go fill up your gas tank, or let's just go grab lunch. Let's go shopping. Do something that they like to do. All right. Just to steal a little bit of time. So that's number 2. Number 3, find a show to watch together that you can sit with them, enjoy the show with them. Sissy loves Gilmore Girls. That's a great recommendation, but enjoy what they enjoy as well. And the last thing you can do, and I tend to lecture instead of listen, but just sit back.
Well, what was that? What did you say?
You heard me. God,
I just want to hear it one more time.
I
just want to hear it one more time.
And not listen.
Oh,
and
okay,
at this point, teenagers, especially teenage girls, do not want us to tell them what to do. They want us to listen. And Caroline tells me all the time, Mom, I just want you to listen to me. So I'll say, okay, so how's it go? How's class going? And she may have a lot going on. I'm not going to lecture her anymore. I'm going to ask her, okay, all that said, how can I best support you in this situation? So ask your daughter how you can, and your son even, how you can best support them in that situation instead of lecturing. I got a lot to learn though. And this is the toughest thing I've ever done besides perimenopause. I mean, and thank God, why do they have to happen at the same time? I mean, that's another question I'm going to have for God. Why mosquitoes? Okay. Why perimenopause, menopause, and teenage years at the same time? Why do they have to coincide? So, but that was a really great episode. Again, we'll link to the Q&A with Sissy in the show notes. And then the 2-part episode we did with teenage boys and David Thomas, I'll link to that in the show notes as well.
Yep.
So we just solved all the teenage girl problems, didn't we? No.
Yes, we did.
No,
yes, we did. Not even
By
close.
the way, you didn't mention my t-shirt.
That t-shirt is very breezy. It's Patrick Swayze breezy. And that was a gift from our teenage daughter to you. So she loves you enough to put Patrick Swayze from his 20s. I think that was from Point Break. That was the movie where he was the surfer Bodie. That was a good one.
I've never seen that movie.
Well, you and I, there we go. We can connect and watch that this weekend.
We can maybe have Caroline connect and watch it with us as well. And by the way, we have an episode, speaking of the teenage years and all of that, with a therapist coming up later this year that's going to blow your mind. Like, I think I blacked out, and it's all about planned emancipation. And at some point, letting your kids watch what they're going to watch, listen to what they're going to listen to, kind of like growing up, just letting them figure it out. Again, we John and I interviewed this therapist, and I think I blacked out for half the conversation because I was like, I can't do that. But it's a different spin on the teenage years and how it can take some of the frustration away from us as parents. That episode's going to come up a little bit later in the year, and I can't wait to bring y'all that. So next week, politics, because of the inauguration, one of our highest rated episodes was with Sharon McMahon, America's government teacher, about the importance of having political conversations in a respectful way, how we can do that, how we can disagree without being disagreeable, and why we should have people in our lives that have different ideology. It's a great conversation. We're going to be talking about it next week on the show. Say bye, John.
Bye.
See you, everybody. We'll keep talking about it. See you then. Bye. I know you guys thought you were done with me, but not quite yet. I have one more thing to tell you about. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to subscribe to the show. I don't want you to miss a single beat or a single conversation. And remember, my DMs are always open. Tell me what you want to talk about.